don't know what to do with yourself, do you?
Half my torso is normally hidden, isn't it? So normally I don't have my arms out, and I felt like we were very like mirrored, and that was weird. So
I mean, it's not a problem if we are mirrored. It's kind of appropriate. You just go pure sexy down the camera.
yeah. Smouldering eyes. Yeah, I'll do this. There we go. I feel comfortable now.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel natural in front of the camera, as you can tell.
Well, we've done it.
Have we? What?
Well, we haven't...
We're about to do it?
Well, not on this one, but maybe
Right.
on the... Let's restart. Let's rewind. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Top of the Box, where we are going to be talking through some board games. I am Luke. That is Ross.
I am Ross, and that is Luke.
That is indeed who we are, and you may hear the sounds of Tilly somewhere as she will move around, because dog. We are back to do our last in our top 50 series. We are here to do our top 10 board games of all time. It has finally come, Ross.
It has finally come. It
It's
feels
finally-
like it's been
Doing this
a
so
journey.
Because we did this list back in
April, well, end of
March.
April for me. Yeah,
March.
Yeah.
I feel like it was March when I did mine. You did it in the end of April.
Yes.
And then you did it again immediately before we started doing it. So we've been doing this for a little while.
Yes.
And I can tell you, I know that my list has changed since we first did
I
this.
think mine probably will have as well.
Because there's a couple of games I've played since then that have come back up. And we talked a little
Yeah.
bit about that in honourable mentions back in the first video. So we'll probably at some point, maybe towards the end of the year, we might just have a quick look through. We might just like do a speed listing of any changes. We might look at that later. Let us know if that's something you're interested in. But for now, let's dive into the 10 or 20, between 10 and 20 games that are the best of all time. Starting with number 10.
10. My 10. 10. Is Battlestar Galactica.
Ah, okay.
So
The board game, presumably,
the
not the
board
TV
game,
show.
not the TV show. The TV show I do think is quite good. So.
Is it top 10?
Top 10 TV? You know what? I mean, I don't really watch a lot of TV, so it might actually be up there, to be fair. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Yes, really good social deduction game. Much longer than your typical social deduction game. I know you've played Unfathomable, which is obviously same
The
thing,
same.
different
It's a
skin.
re-theme, yeah.
But yeah, and again, this goes right back to the very beginning around the nostalgia to play some of these games again. So I think that's why it got a little bit nudged up. I think it'd always be quite high up there, but it got a little extra bump. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Yeah, it sounds like a good little game. We'll give it a go at some point. We talked about it when we did. Actually, that list hasn't come out yet, so I'll release that in a different order. This will come out first.
Yes.
So, spoiler alert for our upcoming video of our Smash or Pass the Top 100. My number 10 is a game that you actually did mention in, I think it was our first list that we did way back then. The game of flipping over tiles to reveal things in the board. It's The Adventures of Robin Hood. This game is fantastic. It's a story-driven game where you are, as I say, you're flipping over different tiles in your board, you're drawing stuff out of a bag, and you're just making the story happen and progress. Laura and I both had it in our 10 by 10, which means we played through the entire campaign. We had to play 20. Incredibly, in a 9-scenario game, we both chose to do it, so we had to play it 20 times.
Yes.
So far, we're at 15 because we got the expansion, the Fire Attacking Danger expansion. You and I need to play more of Robin Hood because it is a very fun little game. It's a good little game.
Yeah, I really like the movement mechanic on it because
that's really that's smooth.
Because it gives you that extra freedom, right? And on a grid-based system, you always feel like you're a bit locked into, well, my character can only move X. You've got to be a little bit smart about how you're moving, particularly where you're trying to hide in shadows and stuff like that. I just think it's really nice. Use of like a storyboard style sort of thing, isn't it?
And you've got a distance. If you choose not to use your long figure, you rest, which means it makes it better for drawing out the bag, which is a really nice little twist. So yeah, that's number 10. It's The Adventures of Robin Hood. So let's go into our number 11.
So mine, do you mean number 9?
I did say number 9. I looked at 11. Wow. I'm going to cut that through. So my number 9 is what we're going into. Is Raiders of the North Sea.
Okay, yes.
This is the game that sort of got Garfield Games onto the map. It's a worker placement game. It's the second of the North Sea trilogy, where you are basically taking a worker, placing it down, do an action, and then you take a worker back from a different action spot. You just do 2 actions. I think it's a really nice twist on a worker placement game, which is one of my favourite mechanisms anyway. And you're just doing that, taking stuff out. You're going off on raids. You're putting Valkyries into Valhalla or whatever, and it's a really interesting little game. I haven't played it for a while. I really need to.
I was going to just say, of all of their games, I think that's the one I've played the least, actually. So
Yes, I think so. You played it once.
yes,
Yeah.
So yeah, it'd be good to crack out again at some point. Actually, and get to play.
It's a good little game. Very, very interesting mechanism now. There it is. We'll see. 9.
Yeah, my 9 is Sleeping Gods.
Oh!
So I was quite fresh to playing it when I was doing the list. I think I've only played it once since then, additional times. So we only played like 2 or 3 times. But yeah, again, we talked about the storytelling. We talked about the map. Yeah, really good game for that storytelling element.
Red Raven games are.
Yeah, I just need to get deeper into it really and commit to it, which I've just not had a chance to do. So it'd probably be a continual date night thing with my wife or something like that, probably.
Or me.
Or you.
Actually, that probably should be something that we should just arrange a monthly day. We just go, right, we're just going to commit, and then every day every one of those
we'll
do
go through some of those campaign games as well, then, couldn't we? So yeah.
Right, that's our number 9. Let's look at number 8.
Oh yeah.
Go on.
Number 8. So again, one which snuck in because it was very fresh in my brain when I was doing it. I do think it's a good game. I don't think you've played it yet. Distilled. You played Distilled
I
yet?
have not played Distilled. I really would like to play Distilled.
It's actually really good. And the thing I like about it, like I like with some other games I mentioned, is when there's like a mechanic or something in it that hints at the process or the theme of the game.
Yes.
So within this, you essentially get a hand of cards, but then you're shuffling and then removing 2 cards off it as part of like the distilling process, basically. So and there's probably more technical term than I'm using there, but so it's really good. But obviously, like adding in water or wheat or your sugars or whatever it is that you're putting in there, and that changes the alcohol that you're making and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's actually a really neat game, and not in a
Good pun.
Thank you. Not in a like, ooh, neat, but just like very tidy, very well presented. Everything's really good.
All goes together quite nicely. It's a nice little theme because it kind of, like, it sounds like it takes what viticulture does in that sort of same style, and then it does that for spirits and whiskey and that sort of stuff. It's not a game you own though, is it?
No.
It's one we will need to borrow off
Alan,
yeah. Just nick it off him.
Yeah.
Steal him, just borrow him. My number 8 is absolutely nothing to do with. I suppose these people will drink whiskey, I guess. It's Great Western Trail 2nd edition.
Yes.
So this is the cow deck building where you're rustling your cattle. We did a playthrough on this on the channel back when we were Eat, Crit and Survive, and people went around. It took us two streams to finish it in a 4-player game.
Yes,
the reason why it took us so long is because obviously people were new to the game, so we had to do that sort of overhead. But I think it's a very good Rondell deck building system that you're just basically trying to get as many cattle to Kansas City. The more variety you have of cattle in your hands is ultimately what you're going to be selling them for. So the money you get, the further you can send them off to go and do things and to send off. But you don't want to be sending cattle to the same place, so you kind of have to work that engine a little bit. And there's a lot of different routes you can go down. You can go with buildings to try and get victory points, or you can just try and fill objective cards. There's all sorts of fun stuff to do. I'd like to try the Rails of the North expansion that has been released with it. I'm also intrigued by the Argentina and New Zealand variants.
Is New Zealand sheep, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it's New Zealand, obviously.
Yeah.
I like the games. I like the system. I don't know if it's different enough for me to go and get Argentina as well as the base. Probably not. New Zealand, maybe. I might try the Board Game Cafe and see how that goes. That might be different enough.
It's one I've not played a lot of, but when I have, each time I played it, I think it's grown on me a little bit more.
Yes. We need to try it physically.
Yes.
I haven't played it physically since Aircon 2022, which is when I bought it.
Okay.
But it is a very good game. But it's on BGA, so I've been able to play it a lot. So it's pretty good.
It just seems to be a little bit of everything.
Yeah. And specifically, it's the 2nd edition that I like. So the 1st edition has got some graphic design issues. That box looks terrible. But the 2nd edition is nice and bright, so it's lovely.
Yeah.
Right, that is our number 8. Let's look at number 7. As I remember how to count.
You do remember how to count. It's really good that you've learned.
I've been taking lessons from your son.
Yeah. Oh, yes. I mean, he does skip. It's funny enough, 7 sometimes.
He does skip 7, which is the game that we're on at the moment, where 7 actually never really comes up for particular reasons because we're all about placing dice. It's Sagrado.
I was kind of wondering where you were going with that. Yeah, nice, yeah.
So Grada is the beautiful little dice placement game where you're basically doing a Sudoku, but with an extra layer of number placement and colour placement and different things that go into that. I just think it's a really elegant game. It's a nice little drafting game where you're just drafting your dice, putting them into your stained glass window, and you're just enjoying that aspect of it. But there's a number of expansions. I've got 2 of the Great Facades expansions. I'm trying to remember which ones they are. Life and Glory, I think. I haven't got Passion yet, as I've been told repeatedly.
I wasn't going to say anything, but you did. So yeah.
It's fun, I'm going to use the joke. And then there's the 5 and 6 player expansion, which is the worst name for an expansion ever, because although it does add 5 and 6 players, it also adds like 2 other modules that you can sort of chuck in, which is quite nice. So each of the expansions adds multiple things, so it's pretty good. And there's a lot of variety in there. You get to choose the tools that you're going to put in, you get to choose the windows, there's all sorts of different stuff. Plus dice and randomness, it just will happen.
You've just said a lot of things about a game that you really like.
Yes.
And that you have expansions and stuff for.
Yes.
And I've never played this game before.
Really?
I've never played it before.
We'll probably have time to play it after we finish here. We can do a speed round.
Right, that's it, guys. We've got to hustle up so we can play some games.
Yeah, that's my number 7.
Cool. Well, I had a really good link into my number 7.
Yes.
But it was only if I went after you on 8. But I would punt it anyway. Because you mentioned about second edition or a new version having fixing some artwork stuff. So my number 7 is Castles of Burgundy.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, so...
Because at that point, you'd only ever played it when we did this. You'd only played it on BGA.
Yes,
interesting.
And it started creeping up behind a game I won't mention yet on my very, very played lots game, basically. So I play it quite a lot.
I know what that game is.
So, which will definitely probably be somewhere up in the lofty heights of this list. But yeah, really good game. Roll some dice, select some actions. Quite simple, to be honest, really, for what looks like could be a really complicated game. And it's actually the scoring and the combinations and how you use that that makes it a bit more complicated. But the newer version is much prettier.
It is a lot prettier
than the older version. I haven't gone for all of the 3D bits.
Yeah.
Because probably a bit overkill, although having miniature sheep
castles
and
nice.
stuff. No,
the sheep.
Yes, on the miniatures and stuff. That's really nice. The castles are nice stuff. But yeah, it's really
I think the issue I would have had if you'd gone for the full 3D things is how can you easily tell what the different buildings, the beige buildings, is just unless you paint them.
And that's the really nice thing about the cardboard ones, because you flip them over and you can read them, right? But even if you get the acrylic tiles, you lose that ability off it.
That seems weird. They didn't do on both sides. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right, that is number 7. Let's have a look at our number 6s.
Oh yeah, I am ready for this. I do know what I've got for number 6. It's a game you hate.
Oh.
I would think I would use the word hate.
Okay.
It's Root.
I do dislike Root quite significantly, yes.
You've avoided using the word hate, but I think that it would probably be very close to...
I don't think I've played it enough to hate it.
Okay, yeah.
I didn't enjoy the play I had of it. Yes. I don't hate it as much as I'm currently hating Twilight Imperium.
Fair. Anyway, yeah, Root, everyone's asymmetric powers and factions, and you're all basically fighting. I don't really have many games. Coming from being a computer game or whatever, I don't really have lots of games which are just kind of war-based.
Sure.
Even Scythe, I wouldn't say is really a war-based game, because most of the stuff happens is actually not combat stuff. So actually, it's really kind of nice in a way that one of the war games snuck into the top 10, basically, and I think that's quite a good one to be up there.
Yeah, the problem I have with Root is I played through the tutorial on the app, because I thought, well, this is going to be the best way for me to learn this, is to try all the different factions. And I couldn't understand why I was winning the fights. It was like, oh, okay, I've rolled higher numbers on this and I've won. I've rolled a lower number on this and I've won.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It just could not sink in. And I think it's a game that you really have to understand all of the different factions that are involved in the play in order to be able to play the game.
Yes.
And I don't think I have the patience for that.
Yeah.
For that sort of game.
I think all you need to know really with the other factions is almost their win condition, and then you can just have to care about yours, and then only trigger a little alert when someone sounds like they're getting close, basically, and then you start worrying about what that specific person's doing and how you can stop them. But it's one of those. It doesn't. I mean, war games aren't really my thing anyway. I've tried a couple with so it's
It's
Yes.
so, it's fine. And also, I've talked about this before. The Leader Games art style doesn't appeal to me personally,
Yes.
so that
Yes.
kind of makes it. Well, I get why people say it looks cute. I find it harder to look at than others would, but it's fine. My number 6 is a game that you kind of hate.
Oh, okay.
In that you don't like it. Lost Ruins of Arnak.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I hate it, but I just
don't.
Yeah.
You just don't get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't get why people like it. I think is probably the main thing.
Yeah.
So Lost Ruins of Arnak, worker placement game where you are putting and you're kind of deck building as well. Basically, going out and exploring through the things. You are deck building, sort of. But as you're exploring, it is. I think you are exploring. That is definitely the thing you're doing. As you're exploring, I think it's very thematic in the way that it's working. That you're going around, you're using compasses to go off and explore.
Yeah.
You're uncovering different locations. You don't know what you're going to get when you go there because it's going to be flipped over and it's going to be random.
Yes.
You're not going to know what guardian is going to suddenly appear that's defending that.
Yeah, I like all of these things so far, yeah.
All those things are really, I think it's nice and thematic in that aspect. I really like the Expedition Leaders expansion, which chucks in, which you've not played yet, which chucks in, I'm playing it tomorrow actually, I think about it, which throws in these async powers, which is asymmetrical powers, which is really nice to sort of have that different, like different people have different strengths.
Yes.
It's quite nice. So yeah, I really like it. I'm looking forward to the Missing Expeditions expansion. That's the one it was called, which introduces a solo or 2-player campaign, co-op campaign that you can play, which I think will be quite interesting.
New way to dislike the game. Excellent.
It is, yes. And I met the designers at UKGE, and they signed one of my cards.
Oh, that's really nice. That's really nice. I mean, that's a nice touch. For me, I find like it does everything at 80%.
Okay, you feel like there needs to be another turn, I think.
Yeah.
You want to be able to do your engine a lot more.
I'll tell you what the most annoying bit is obviously it's sort of like touted as like a bit of a deck builder, but then I'm like, I only get to really buy or add one card in, and then I might only feel like I only see that card maybe twice in the entire game, so I can't really build a strategy around it. I don't really know. And then there's a track along the right-hand side, and I'm like, does anyone ever actually reach the top of that track?
Yes. Frequently.
I've never seen it. Even in the games we played, I've never seen it.
Yes, but that's because you get in my way, annoyingly.
Maybe that's probably. Maybe my thing is I'm just stopping everyone else from having fun in the game as well. Who knows? But anyway, there you go. So
Ross Hewitt, the fun sponge.
Yeah, that is me. Yeah, fun sponge.
All right, that is our number 6s. Let's have a look at the number 5s. So my number 5, I'm doing the so again, as I've suddenly called back to the last video where I realised that we were saying so a lot. My number 5 is going to be higher on Ross's list. And it's a game I introduced you to, and you went off and you found a German to teach you how to play it. Tapestry.
Yes.
Tapestry, I know this is coming up later on your list, so I'm going to let you explain it in more detail.
Sure.
But it's a set building game. You're just putting out, you've got all these really nice pieces. You're bumping up different tracks. You're doing all sorts of wonderful, fun combo-y stuff and trying to... We like to just play so we can just try different civilizations and different combinations, just try stuff at this point, quite frankly. Yeah. We've kind of given up on... We like to see how high we can score, which also helps.
Yeah, it's a scoring beating rather than a who can win sort of situation. Yeah.
Most of the time, at the moment, it's him.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of different factions, that's root. A lot of different civs that you can do, a lot of different tapestry cards. Both of us have got all 3 expansions, which you can throw in. There's some fun stuff on there. It's available on Board Game Arena. There's just a lot of stuff in Tapestry that we really enjoy. It's just a lot of fun. It's my number 5. I know it's higher on your list. So,
having said, I'll let you talk about it. You basically described everything. But I'll throw some more stuff in. I'm sure I can think of some stuff.
I'm sure you got some more stuff. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Twilight Inscription.
Oh, the roll and write.
The roll and write. So now, if on reflection now, with a couple of months past, I think probably something like Twilight Imperium would have taken this slot. Okay. And probably Twilight Inscription probably drops
a little bit.
Not loads, but a little bit, I would have thought. Twilight Inscription, just a beefy roll and write, right? So I like a roll and write. I like a big beefy game usually, so it kind of ticks both those boxes really. You play as sort of asymmetrical factions. You've got 4 maps that you're trying to explore.
Yep.
You can cover off resources and do some trades and move around and explore and enter into combat and all this good stuff. It's just a chunky roll and write, which is always fun. So.
I need to play it in person because I played it on Tabletop
And with more
Simulator,
players, I think.
more
as well.
players, yes, because you have a little more interaction.
Yes.
Tabletop Simulator it was good for getting an understanding of the game, but then you lose things. So you have to zoom in on one board, and you don't see everything you have to sort of play with it. So that's the sort of ding on that one. But yeah,
Really, in fact, a really pretty game as well. Once you got everything out, it's just quite colourful and stuff, which is quite nice.
yeah, nice little chalk markers, which is always quite nice.
Which I discovered in the worst way possible. Don't use anything wet in order to wipe chalk markers.
Yes.
Because it just goes everywhere.
I could have told you that.
Yeah,
we use them on our play mats.
I had not considered that properly. So
No. Yeah, so that's our number 5. Let's go to number 4. We're getting close.
my number 4 is a game which I think if there was a bigger player base, probably I would play as much as I would play Tapestry.
Okay.
Which is Carnegie. So
Carnegie. Okay.
So I like it's not really a good comparison. It's almost like I'm going to say it anyway. It's almost like pokery or bluffing or like trying to predict a little bit what everyone else is doing, right? So you're trying to really plan ahead and make your decisions based off what other people are doing. So there's only 20 turns in the game. When someone takes an action, everyone does that action, but the sort of strength or the opportunities you get from that action are based on how your workers are played out, right?
Yes.
So you can read everyone else's board, you can see Luke's got loads of stuff in construction, and I don't. Well, I won't play the construction action. I'll play this other thing that's weaker for him but stronger for me. That might then give me the opportunity to set something.
Also gives you the opportunity to go, well, I don't need construction now, but if I do this, I can get loads of things that will get me ready for construction when Luke does it.
And then you would then trigger it, and then all this sort of good stuff. So, really good. American map. You're trying to make the most successful business, I guess, really.
It's based on the life of Carnegie when he died. He's giving off charitable donations and sort of building the railroads around America.
There are some donations and stuff you can do to help your end game scoring, but you can only really get there if you've got enough money in the first place to do that.
Which is always a nightmare of that game.
Yes. So I think it's got quite a small player base. I think is the problem, which means I don't really get to play as often. And also, it's really the one sort of downside is when you're playing it, you have to play with people almost with a similar strategy. If you want to get like proper enjoyment out of it, almost similar strategy styles to you. I've played a couple of times online, and people have a very different style of playing. And obviously, again, because your actions are all tied into it, right?
Yeah.
If half the table's swinging one way, you're both kind of just hampering each other basically, and it's not really. Whereas I like to do stuff in my games basically.
Yeah, that's fair. Got to do stuff. Yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting concept. We'll see if it catches on. That's our number 5. So let's go into number 4.
No, that was our number 4. That was my number 4.
Well, that was number 5 we were talking about. Oh, it was number 4. You're right. Oh, my brain. It is late when we're doing this. My number 4.
Yes.
Is Terraforming Mars.
Is that your number 4, is it?
It is my number 4. It's Terraforming Mars.
Number 4,
Terraforming Mars, the fourth planet from the sun,
appropriately,
is... We've talked about Terraforming Mars. You prefer Ares Expedition, which I'm hoping to play with one of the expansions tomorrow, which is going to be good fun. I'll let you know about that. Terraforming Mars is the sort of big original, big card engine builder where you're trying to put tiles out, Terraforming Mars, you're trying to bump up oxygen, temperature, and oceans, and score a bunch of points because you are mega corporations in the 24th century, I think, or 21st century, something like that. And you're just trying to terraform Mars.
Yeah.
And I have a nice, fancy deluxe edition, which is really nice, and it's a lot of fun to play with.
Mushroom cloud in there for your nuclear explosion,
which is always nice.
The planet up.
The double layer boards, which are essential.
Yes.
It was fine the first time we played it, but we did have a toddler around us, so we had to be careful.
Yes.
But they are now very slick. Definitely needs the Prelude expansion. I think is fantastic. It just speeds everything up a little bit. There's Prelude 2, even more Prelude-y. That's coming out soon.
It's actually called that?
It's called Prelude 2.
Oh, okay. That's a shame.
Which is going to be the next. I'm surprised that there's more expansions coming out for it, but that's what's happening. And there's also an Ultima expansion, which is being kickstarted, I think, later this year. So there's some new stuff coming for it.
And I'm not trying to be rude about Terraforming Mars.
Good, we'll move on then.
No, I do really like Terraforming Mars. I just feel like there was a unfortunate short window when it was almost revolutionary or really, really good. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
and I feel like that. Not to say it's bad now necessarily.
No.
I just think there's other games now which have. I mean, it's almost done it to itself really with the Ares expedition. It's kind of how it feels a bit.
See, I speak to a lot of people. A lot of people that I've played Ares Expedition with prefer base Terraforming Mars,
interesting.
but also a lot of people compare it to Ark Nova.
Yeah,
Which I don't see.
Yeah.
But I mean, Terraforming Mars is still number 5 on
Yes,
BGG.
yeah,
So it's still right up there.
Yes.
It's still a very good game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's our number 4s. Now we'll go and have a look at number 3. So my number 3.
Yes, please.
It's been a while since we've delved into this realm of push or luck. Is the Quacks of Quedlinburg.
Oh yes.
Quacks of Quedlinburg, which is a fantastic little game where you're just basically reaching into a bag, pulling out chips, and hoping your cauldron doesn't explode. And whatever you pull out with the powers, you get with the different chips, you get to do the different powers, and you just try and play it over a few rounds. And I don't remember playing a game which is just fun, regardless of how well you're doing in the game. Because I love that it has that little catch-up mechanism of the rat tails, which means that even if you screw up in the first few rounds, it doesn't matter so much. It doesn't punish you, which is good in a push-or-luck game. There's so much variety with the different expansions that you can do. There's the different ingredient sets that you can do. You can mix and match those and do whatever you like. It's just a really fun game. I've talked about this on a podcast that I do. Hey, check it out. It's the Bucket List Board Gamers. We just talk about it's just fun. Yeah. It's a really fun game. It's just silly fun. I just really like that in experience.
Quite a lot. Is it fun by any chance?
It's wonderful. It's ridiculous. I just really like it.
If I played it more, I think it would be much higher on this list. Yes. There's someone who I sometimes, when I rarely go into the office, bump into, and she tells me every time that she's recently played Quacks and she loves Quacks, and then she spends like 20 minutes probably telling me about the last game that she had of Quacks. And it's great because it's a fun game, so you can hear the story and you can enjoy it. And like, oh, bloody, I pushed, like, literally was waiting on the last, like, thing to pull out of the bag, and they got it, and all that good stuff. So really good game.
It's a lot of fun. Your number 3.
My number 3 is the Guild of Merchant Explorers.
Really?
Yeah.
That's surprising. Actually, no, it's not surprising.
Is it surprising?
No, it's not that surprising. It's surprising it's this high. I knew it'd be high for you. I didn't think it'd be this high, because it's basically a combination of 2 of your favourite things, which is Kingdom Builder and a roll and write. Just
ta-da! You have a top 3 game. So flipping cards over gives you a kind of type of terrain. You're putting cubes down on that thing. You're trying to explore the map a little bit. At the end of the round, everything kind of resets, so you take all of your cubes back off, but you've maybe left some towns, villages? Settlements? That's a better word for it. On the board. And then you kind of start again, but you can start again from where you've previously explored. Yeah,
it does the thing that Blue Lagoon does that, where you you start off and you build out, and then you stop, and then you can sprawl out from wherever it is. But I do like the async cards that you like, the bonus cards that you get each round. It's just we each have this own little special card that we can do that's just ours. And that will turn up at some point during the round, and we get to do those multiple times.
And it's important. I mean, it was quite early on in the game. There was a game I played, and me and another player, I think it was the first 5 turns of the game, we did exactly the same thing, because it was almost like the optimum thing to do within that. But obviously then that does break up a little bit as the game goes on. But the art style as well, a little bit, like, not huge, but I do quite like it. So it's just, that's my kind
You've got vibrant colours against beige, which you like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It just ticks like all the right boxes. So it's just it's a nice all rounder. I think that's probably why it's snuck up there.
I like it. I'm not sure if I need to play it more, I think, because I know Laura doesn't like it that much.
Okay.
She thinks it ends too quickly. Which is fair, because it is only like 4 rounds.
Yeah, but it's also a reason why I like it.
Yeah, it's a faster Kingdom Builder. Which is, it's a nice little game.
Yes.
But, we'll have to give it a few plays.
Yes, I should have remembered what it was.
So that's our number 3s. Let's go into number 2. My number 2, I think my number 2 and my number 1 from the list that I've done, I think they were interchangeable. They were very close. I think I am going to swap them around. So my number 2 is Architects of the West Kingdom. Yeah. It is a worker placement game where you are putting out workers. It's my former number 1. I think it's a fantastic game. I think top 5 are relatively interchangeable depending on my mood on the day. Top 10, even like top 10 worlds are sort of like anything below 5 kind of shuffles around. I find, but the top 5 are kind of sticking in place. But in Architect, you are putting out workers one at a time, as you do in a worker placement game, and you're just trying to build up a city. My nose is really itchy for some reason. And you are just putting your workers out, and the more workers you put into a spot, because they're all open, the more powerful the action becomes. So you're kind of incentivized to go, okay, well, I can get 2 wood if I go here now. And then next turn I'll get 3 wood from that, and I'll just build this nice engine. And then I can put out buildings and do all sorts of fun little scoring stuff. I think, having played it recently without any expansions, I've cooled ever so slightly. I still really enjoy the mechanism because it was a game that I remember playing on stream with Dom and going, oh, I love this game. This is fantastic. This is an absolute hoot. I've got both of the expansions plus the Tome Saga. I want to try with those expansions and see what differences it makes to the game. I think it's got a really nice solo mode as well that has it just simulates a really mean second player. I just think it's really good. It's another Garfield Games one, another Shem Phillips game, like Red Alert North Sea, and I just think it works really nicely. I just think it's a really good game. Yeah, that's my number 2, Architects.
I think I've said this before. I always scramble to remember which one of the games is which one, but I think I'm quite confident in that one. Yeah, I think they're all quite, like you said for you, maybe, I don't want to think, it's quite interchangeable, all of those games for me a little bit.
Well, Viscounts is actually quite a way down. Viscounts was number 24.
Okay. So for me, I'm literally like similar. They're kind of averaging out somewhere, and that's how I'm looking at those games. But yeah, it is a good game. It's a really good game. So I'll do mine now.
2, yes.
It is Cartographers.
Nice. Where's my Cartographers? 13.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so a bit
13.
further, yeah. So the main reason why Cartographers is so high, which is often why I think it's a hangover a little bit from how I would have done my list beforehand as well, a long time ago, is how easy it is to get other people to play games.
Yes, yeah.
Because for me, for a very, very long time, before you got really, really hooked as well, to be fair, for any game that I wanted to play, I had to be able to convince non-gamers to be able to play it right. A Cartographer 100% ticks that box.
Yes.
It's a roll and write, which obviously, again, flip and write, which I absolutely love. I literally cannot get enough of it. Like, if someone said to me, "Do you want to play Cartographers?" Absolutely, 100%. They've got a big stack of like 50 games, and they're like, "We need to fill like I don't know half an hour, whatever."
If everyone knows how to play it, you can speed through Cartographers really easily.
It's just, so good, just really, really good.
And there's now, there's 6 different map packs, including the 4 that are available in the base game and Heroes.
Yes.
We talked a bit about this when we talked about it in the last video. There's just so much replayability in it, and it's so easy to just, as you say, it's easy to get out, and it's one of those games that you can play with 10 people.
Yes.
That have never played before, and at least 3 of them might go, where can I get this from?
Yes.
Because it's just so easy. Yeah. It's so easy to get to the table.
The thing I was going to say, you said about the expansions is that actually the game. One of the things to say is the game is so good that I don't think the expansions are great, but I don't think they're necessary. Right?
No, they're not.
So how long have I been playing Cartographer?
2 years. It's since Laura and I have been dating.
And I've been playing it very regularly.
Yeah.
And I kind of rarely get the expansions out because the base game just does it for me.
It's solid, yeah.
So, yes, excellent to add all that additional flavour in, but you don't need it, to be honest.
No, you just keep playing it.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, that's number 2. We've had some pretty strong arguments on some of the games that are coming up. So, what made it to number 1? Let's find out now. Ross.
It is going to be probably absolutely no surprise to anyone who's ever spoken to me about board games.
Ever. Yeah.
Ever.
Or even just spoken to you, like at the supermarket. You will tell them.
I would literally just tell them, blurt it out. My number 1 game is Tapestry. I was really tempted to throw out Catan or something, actually, as I was tempted to throw out. Munchkin. Yeah. No, they were just discovering games I don't like. No, Tapestry. I mean, you already hinted at it earlier, so it was probably coming from anyone who was paying any attention, to be honest, as we started to run out of numbers getting towards the top. Amazing game. Obviously, you got async powers between the factions. You've got several tracks you can go up. It ticks all of the sort of 4X boxes without really being like a 4X game.
4X game, no.
So it's what I'm looking for. I play a lot of Civilization 5 and 4
Yes.
and 2 originally on the computer, and it feels like it does the same thing, but less wary, which is always also good in a sense.
Well, the military track is quite fun to go up. It's quite fun.
It's less like, but it avoids that trap that some games like that fall into, where it's like, you and I are going to fight. We roll 3 dice each, and then the higher number wins, right?
Yes.
That always like frustrates me in a game. Anyway, just phenomenal game, just an amazing game, and I'm literally hooked to it. I probably play, I don't know, 3 or 4 games a week, probably
Easily.
I
feel like I want to get you the rubber playmat at some point.
Yeah, probably would be. Yeah,
just to have on the wall.
It's a game that I probably would absolutely pimp out.
That would solve the lid lift issue if we just took the board out and put it on the wall as an art piece.
So yeah, I mean, it's the point where I don't know what to say about it because I like it so much. I could just infinitely play it.
There's a very, very solid game. It's a good choice. It's kind of sad that it's now there's not going to be any more expansions.
Yes.
The Futures and Fantasies was the last one, which is a bit of a shame, but there we go. There's going to be some more balanced stuff coming up.
The revision stuff's great, and in fact, that's probably a key bit to mention, right? Is
some Sims are very unbalanced from the original plays.
Exactly that. If I probably the benefit that's happened is I've played a lot of it digitally, where the revised powers are already in effect, right?
Active,
but if you're playing with the core box, I can see how it could get quite frustrating because it was almost a lottery win on the Civ that you drew.
Yes.
And you could tell who would win. And we've had this conversation really early on when we were playing. And I'm like, well, if I pick this one, I win basically because it's much stronger power.
Different options,
But good. So good.
My number one is the last of the West Kingdom trilogy games to be mentioned. It is Paladins of the West Kingdom. So after everything has been built up, but before we have to decide whether it's going to ruin or riches, we have to defend it from the incoming hordes. And Paladins it's one of my heaviest games, I think, which is interesting that it's this high up the list. In comparison, when I look at the other games in this list, it feels out of place because of the weight of it. But it's essentially
maybe that's why it's number 1.
Maybe it is a kind of worker placement game where you're putting down workers into slots to trigger things off. But the color of the worker makes a difference, and you've got 3 different tracks that will impact the strength of those various actions: strength, religion, and reputation. I think
that is the right
something
ones.
like that. But each of the actions that you take on the right-hand side of your board needs a certain of one of those 2, and it will bump up another of those tracks. And the combos that you can sort of build from those are really interesting. You get to draw a paladin into your hand, but you choose from 3. 1 goes onto the top of your deck, 1 goes to the bottom of the deck, never to be seen again, and 1 gets played, which will give you a temporary bump plus some extra workers you get to use. It's really smooth, and I think it's a good game. It's a good crunchy game. You can play with, and you just want to extend your turn as long as possible, which is really nice. And again, I've got an expansion for it that I need to try out. I want to try it with the Tome Saga to see how that sort of plays in with everything else. It's just real good. Yeah. And as I say, it's relatively interchangeable with Architects at the moment. I think I'm a little hotter on Paladins ever so slightly at the moment, just because I've played Architects more at the moment than I have Paladins.
Yeah.
But if I was to play with the expansions, who knows? They would all. I'm pretty hot on all of them. I really want to play all of them at the moment, so it's the thing.
I'm going to basically repeat what I said before, which is
they're interchangeable.
A little bit interchangeable for me.
Yeah.
I think I need to play them a lot more. I just don't have the same love that you do for them.
Yes.
But maybe I need to just explore it a bit more. So
well, basically, we just need to play more games, is what we're saying.
A little bit, to be honest with you,
That's the sad truth of it, is we need to play more games. Hello, Tilly. Tilly's woken up. So that is it. Those are our top 10 games of
got to
all
the end.
time.
We did it.
Finally got here. It took us a long time to get here, quite frankly. We started filming this in, April?
Yes.
March? May-ish?
May.
And it's August now. Here's the thing. These lists are as subjective as they come. Like, I redid my list not too long ago, and my top 10 had shifted significantly.
Even just going through it today, the top 10 I mentioned about Twilight Imperium versus Twilight Inscription, right? So they're already
they're all moving
swap
around
around
here. So
constantly, aren't they? Yeah.
we'll kind of see where things lie. We'll probably do another one of these lists again, maybe next year. I think is probably going to be a more realistic thing. We've played more games, we see what's come out, because I know that like Final Girl and Woodcraft both were mentioned in my honorable mentions. Both of those are right up there.
Quite a few games in there which have been really fresh in my brain, which I only played like once or twice maybe, which I might not play again. Distilled, for example.
Teletoon.
Yes, exactly that, which might just disappear a little bit off the list.
Just the hype of it. So,
and it would be interesting to see whether Tapestry's still at number one. That would be the most interesting thing. Whether at that point, whether I've gone a bit done with it.
Just cooled a little bit, yeah. So yeah, those are our games. Let us know in the comments below what your top 10 games are and how those go on. We're probably going to have a video where we'll sit down and we'll actually go through all this, because we made jokes early on about how much Ross liked roll and writes and deck builders, and I like my little push it up games. But actually, we didn't really have any of those in the last stage of the list. So it'll be interesting to see what mechanisms we kind of favour in these lists. Like player counts and things like that.
Yeah,
would be interesting. Like publishers, any particular publishers. I'm fairly certain I know who my top 2 publishers are.
Yeah.
In that one, probably Garfield and Stonemaier are probably up there for me.
Yeah.
But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So we'll probably do that. We'll see how it goes. Until next time, thank you very much everyone for watching. Do the like and subscribe. We have changed our name, so we are now the Game Emporium by this point. So yeah, check us out there and on Instagram and on twitch.tv/Game Emporium.
Tell us your number one.
Yeah, tell us your number ones. Tell us what your number one games are. And if you have any games that you think we should play, that we should then add on to the stream.
We'll add to the list.
We can add to the list, add to the stream. We can try and get it into the rotation at some point and give it a go. Until next time, thank you very much everyone for watching. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.